Once again, joining us today is artist, songwriter, and producer Auspiddit. Hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Definitely did. I appreciate it. A lot of people don't, so appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm your host, Kevin.
I'm your co-host, Brian.
You're now tuned in to Coder Conversations. Be sure to share so we can grow the family this year. But hey, man, it's definitely a pleasure to have you on the show.
Likewise, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming out tonight.
You
And
know
we've
it.
been having quite a few musicians on the show lately, and I know you got your own unique flavor. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I definitely do. And I've been seeing a lot of the musicians you have on here. Well, first and foremost, my name is All Spitt, and I'm an artist, producer, engineer, songwriter. Also, I'm a marketing specialist. And one thing that's like really specific to me is that entrepreneurship is like dear to me. So, it's been a long journey to figure out like the business behind music besides just like trying to be a creative. That's something that's in my spirit, and it comes to me like that. But yeah, it's important to understand the business that comes with the music. So that I think that's one of the biggest parts of my journey that has been
For
revealing.
sure. For sure.
Yeah, because we've all heard the horror stories in the music industry, especially of fantastic artists, but they didn't have their business correctly, so they're pretty much working to get someone else rich, like this
That's
company.
right.
Right. And I've kind of been I feel like hip hop's like that too. It's very anti-corporate and people
Yeah.
getting in the mix that could possibly mess anything up. So, taking a lot into my hands has been kind of my journey over the years.
Hey, you've been mostly independent?
Yeah. So I think I want to say about 10 to 15 years ago, I had, my mission was like, oh, let me get signed. I had RCA,
Sure.
A&Rs talking to me, whatnot. And it just, those things, when they fall through, you look at them like, oh no. But in all reality, it was an alignment, because I started realizing like if I got signed as a young man, like it wouldn't have been. I wasn't all the way right in my mind yet, so
Yeah.
I'm happy that that didn't happen in that manner. So
Yeah, I see like people who get signed is more so for the fame than for the money because when you sign a deal, everything they advance, it's like a loan. They advance you this money, but then you
Yeah.
got to pay all of this stuff back, whether it's the music video, the recording time, etc. So
absolutely. So a lot of my journey has been like, all right, let me cut costs for myself. I do all the mixing, recording myself,
Oh,
mic right
wow.
here, right? So like I do it right in the house, and then YouTube. I didn't. I decided college really wasn't the route for me because of the technological advances today. So I was like, let me just dedicate whatever span of years my friends were in college to really do this. So I learned the vocal mixing, the production side of it, and it really led for me to also be like, all right, well, on the business tip, how do I take this from 0 to 100? And
Right.
do I have to add who are the people that I can add to my team? And I feel like this year and last year have really been like the staple moments for me where things are starting to make more sense. So yeah, definitely had to
Like
make sure that.
what have been like the keystone moments that you kind of noticed?
I would say, let me go back a little bit. So first and foremost, a lot of artist showcases and doing things like that where I tried to hit every mark. I didn't skip any steps. I wanted to master the craft as much as to my liking, right? And
For
then
sure.
take it to all the different events in Connecticut, all the different events, in New York and the Jersey area. And I just even and for about 2 years I lived in Sacramento. So like I took a few, different pieces of like that culture and added it to me and try to just really like go for it as far as the shows. They always say like you got to get out there. So networking events, just all things of that nature, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like
100%. Yeah.
yeah, those
100%.
those things really like help open up the idea of like, oh, okay, there's more than just what I thought I was doing. I thought you just make the music, you put it out, and then you blow up, and it's like nah, it's so much deeper than that.
It's like, a lot of, I heard it on a podcast one time. They were talking, it was a hip hop podcast. They're talking about breaking a new artist. And they said something to the degree of, okay, it's going to cost $250,000 in marketing to
Yeah,
break a new artist on Instagram or Spotify, whatever the
right.
case. And I was just like, wow, I just when I was younger, I thought my bands just like didn't make it because like we weren't good enough. But no,
Right, and that had
it's
nothing to
all
do with
money,
it.
man.
Yeah. It's so crazy that you said that and those numbers today too, because I was just talking to my business partner about that specifically today, which is crazy that you just
Oh
said that.
wow.
But a lot of my research over time has been like, all right, what's happening? Like I don't think I can't rap or I don't think I can't,
Yeah,
do
that's
the
not it.
vocals yeah, it's not like I
That's
could make
not
the
it.
most radio song, but at the end of the day, yeah, you got to know what you're doing with your dollars and or at least find the person that cares to help you learn what to do with your dollars and how you can have some growth
Exactly.
going on there.
Yeah, these days you have to be willing to put your money where your mouth is. You have to drop some advertising dollars because otherwise the algorithm, maybe if you got in early, like, 10, 15 years ago, you'll get
Yeah,
blasted organically. But now, nah, not
right.
really.
It's like, man, if I did what I'm doing now 15 years ago, I think I would have saved some money, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
to say the
yeah,
least. Yeah.
right.
So like how have you been leveraging social media to really expand your visibility?
Right. So one of the things that I've been doing a lot, I linked with a good friend of mine who's my videographer. His name's Jules Prince, and he's on his own force. He's got about I want to say like over 600,000 on TikTok.
Wow.
He's just very creative with what he does visually. So one thing that was like really important for me was to like, all right, let me get my visuals to look a certain way, no matter what kind of music I do. I can't always just pull out the iPhone and go crazy because I did want to set myself apart from like the people that I know in the state. In my state specifically, there's so much talent. Like, of course, there's talent everywhere, right? So I wanted to separate myself in that way to leverage like the way that I look. And I think that the branding was very important for me to show that I'm a professional in that manner. So like that's been helping the algorithm catch me a little bit more. But then, yeah, just like you were saying, you got to know like your demographic and how to put your ads
Yeah.
towards wherever that goes. So like if I'm doing a show somewhere, I got to make sure that the ads go into that specific area.
It's got to
And,
be targeted. Yeah.
right. Yeah,
100%. It does need to be. Yeah.
absolutely.
That's a great point you mentioned about the visuals, the aesthetic, because if you don't have that, people just won't pay attention to you, and
They
you
just
it
keep
has to be
scrolling.
yeah, it has to be a
Just
certain
keep
quality
scrolling
too.
by. Yeah.
Right, right. There's the attention span, even
It's
myself, I got to keep myself on par, you know what I mean?
exactly.
So I always use myself as an example too, like when I'm just scrolling and I'm like, all right, what makes me click that and look at this and do that? And I just kind of add that to my arsenal and it's my superpower now. As I've also been kind of like leaning away from the consumption of social media, because to your point also, like they create these apps to make sure that one, you're on it, and then
Yeah.
two, once like I'm one of those people where like once I start to like the veil gets lifted, I feel played because I'm like, wow, you designed this just to it's a marketing tool. Like this has nothing to
Yeah.
do with like me
That's
sitting there and enjoying it. Like,
that's how I felt about Facebook. I finally
yeah,
pulled the plug on that a couple years back.
and we relate a lot. Maybe it's a Connecticut thing because
And maybe
I said I'm all set with Facebook. I don't want to read a bunch of people's opinions, and I can't start
yeah,
my
I
day
don't
like,
need all this like political stuff,
yeah,
people fighting with other people. It's not for
yeah.
me. Yeah,
Not
it's
for
just
me
not for
either,
me.
man. Yeah, exactly. You gotta protect your peace these days, man.
That's right. It's
It's
very
valuable. It's
important.
more valuable than the dollars we put in the ads,
Way
man.
more valuable. Yeah, but okay, so you said your friend, he's got like 600K followers on TikTok?
Yeah, he's crazy, but he had a good
Wow.
viral moment.
So how did yeah, I guess kinda like how did he craft that to get it? 'Cause I mean, those numbers are pretty crazy.
they are crazy, and it was all from one funny moment. It had nothing to do with like his creative expertise, because I think those are the reasons that he should be known, which he's starting to, he's picking up on. He's got a lot of subscribers on YouTube as well. But yeah, like he had this moment where he did one of those lip syncing things where like
Yeah.
and it just went crazy. Like I could type in the phrase he said and it's just his face is everywhere. It's so funny.
Wow.
I'll be messing with him when I go see him. I'll say it to him and he's like, oh man.
No, that's crazy how sometimes going viral and growing a big following is just luck. Like you have this one moment that everybody loves for whatever reason, and now you have the ball. But I think, once you get the ball, it matters what you do with it because it's easy
Yeah,
to drop
Yep.
it and You know, you
Right.
go viral and you make one mistake and now it's over.
Absolutely. We discussed that a lot too, because, like, that was just something that he did. I feel like, me personally, I don't believe in luck. I believe in like inspired action, like meeting God, source, universe, whatever you want to look at it, like meeting it halfway. So like he had an inspired thought, it came to him, and he did that thing. But the consistency of that's what people know you for. Like I feel like you have to continue to do that. Otherwise, when you go back to do the content that you want to do now that you've refined, people may not be as responsive to that. So that's one thing that I've also been thinking about in my own journey. Like, what am I doing right now to make sure that people see me for my entire career? And if it's a slew of things, then I have to give them all of that. So that way I don't feel like I have to be inauthentic in any kind of way.
And what do you feel, just in terms of style,
Mhm.
what kind of sets you apart from musician X?
Right. So I first and foremost, I felt like rapping. I'm a boom bap hip hop head from day one. Right. I was a battle rapper growing up,
Oh
and
wow.
it was just it was in me. You know what I mean? I was an animal with the battle rapping, but I realized that that's not something that I want to bring to every song. I enjoy a lot of different music, but the people that raised me as like as a rapper is like Eminem, Nas, Big Pun, Jay-Z. So like that street core feeling, like that's in me. But I
Yeah.
realized also that a lot of that taught me the right and the wrong things, right? Because hip hop or music in general, it kind of becomes like your parent. It sits with you. You listen to it. It becomes like mantras, and you become it. So
Yeah.
a lot of that I had to
DMX,
D-
big
DMX.
pun.
I love DMX. You know what I mean? So like, but then you start feeling the energy behind the music, and you're like, oh, that person probably wasn't feeling so happy at this time, wasn't doing that. And I've put out a lot of music like that where I wasn't in a good place. So I feel like one
Yeah.
thing that's my mission is to switch the narrative on, like, not only the street, how because I have a different outlook at the end of the day. Like, I have street background, but I also want, if a kid puts the headphone in, like, are they going to get some kind of value out of it, or are they going to like go tell somebody off because I told them to? Like, I want to make sure that, if I am allowing, like, for the music to let my ego speak, like, there's a dualism that I allow in my music. So like, if I do say one thing, I make sure that I put the growth mindset in there. And that's something that's been big for me in my life, that just the evolution of my personal development is important to me. So like, my music just automatically changed as like my spirit and I started evolving. So I feel like that's me. That's what really sets me
Okay.
apart. Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, music is hugely influential. Like, me growing up in the '90s, I kind of grew up, when the West Coast, the gang banging, the gangster rap
All
was
that.
coming
Yeah.
in, and
Pac. I
I'm in
love Pac,
Texas.
man.
Tupac,
You
so
know?
good. So good.
And the Bloods and Crips made their way out here, and a lot of people picked it up from the music. So,
Right.
that's just how powerful that music is, that people are even willing to kill, rob, and steal just because of a song they heard. So it's
Right.
great that you're aware of the effect that your lyrics can have on someone.
Yeah, I have to be, man, because it's, again, like, it's personal to me. I've chosen a lot of wrong things in my life because of, I felt like, not only like the influences that were around me that were also choosing that and listening to the same things, but like, because
Yeah.
it just, I had to take that step back. I had those introspective moments and I feel like pain puts you through that. You go through pain, and then you kind of have to take a step back and realize, like, wait, what's happening? And if I continue on this path, this might not be, what I want to do for the rest of my life. I think I
Yeah.
believe in myself to do something different. And then I want any kid that hears me speak like this, or to hear it on a song, to be like, yeah, I might have come from this, or I might have this around me, but the darkness surrounding me is just, I have to be the light. And if I have to guide others, and while they saying this and that, I could care less. I just know that, ultimately, like, the way of the light has to be shown. So that's what my responsibility is as an artist. And I would hope that other artists will eventually do that when it's not cool to. This is one Kanye line that I was listening to lately, and he's like, killing some whackness, except when people is rapping. You know what I mean? It's like, that's just it's so weird how it's a trend. And I've really seen that. I've really seen people do download things because they just felt an energy to do so. And
Right.
I think that emotional intelligence and being able to know what you're choosing, or what something around you is like by default. I want to live a life of not by default, by design. So that's really important for me.
Yeah, I mean, like, bring it back to the 90s makes me think about DMX. And what really stuck out to me, I mean, I started listening to hip hop probably at like 8, 9 years old. I was born in 87.
Yeah,
So, groups like Wu Tang, 36 Chambers,
right. Love the book.
Nas, Biggie, Tupac. But like with DMX, really stuck out to me because he'd actually have prayers
He
on
would talk
his
about
albums.
yeah, right.
So, so he was like really like firm with his
Mhm.
Christianity, and at a time when in the industry you didn't really see that. So that stuck out a lot to me.
Absolutely. And I think that his dualism helped him to like it allowed for him to still be mainstream while he did that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my thing too. I got, maybe you could say I got that from like the whole Pac and DMX feels, but like yeah, it's just I think that's the human experience, like we have dualism and there's something about like our low moments that bring us to our high moments. So I love that DMX would talk like that.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing now that there's like more variety allowed because in the '90s all about keeping it hood, keeping it gangster. If you was
Yeah.
like
That's
too
how I grew up,
positive,
really. Like, all the people that was really like that in my area, you battle rap. Like you in the cipher, you talk like this, you act like this, you're around this, and that's the only thing that we do. And if you don't, you write your raps like you write, and if you don't, then you're the laughing stock, and nobody's gonna mess with you. So like that, yeah, I come from that as well.
Okay.
but some of the stuff they said in those battle raps was like extremely disrespectful.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm surprised there
absolutely.
weren't like more incidents than there were just based off of some of the stuff that was said. But
Absolutely. I think that's so funny too, though, like to look back and see how if you say something to somebody disrespectful, right, then that's a feeling that they may or may not react. But when there's battle rapping going on, like everybody's kind of in cahoots with this is the culture. It's strange. It's kind of
Right.
strange if you think about it. Like, it's like we're all willing to be a little less
So
sensitive in certain moments.
yeah, how did you really get deep into the battle rap kind of scene?
Yeah, so my brother, he's a incredible lyricist as well. He goes by Just Life, and yeah, I'm the younger brother, so you see older brother doing stuff, and you're like, I want to do that,
I
or
want
I
to do
can
that
do
too.
that. Yeah. So by the time
I can do it better.
like he's nice like that, and him and I we like we help each other level up. So but that was the really how I got started in music in general. I heard my brother. I always had like a knack for it. I loved it. My mother, she played a lot of soul music in the house, R&B, and then my father's like a huge jazz head. Like he just didn't even want to hear words half the time. He just wanted to hear the instrumentation. And I think that influenced my brother and I. So by the time he was really making mixtapes and I got a hold of it, and I was already kind of listening to like Lil Wayne and all the other lyricists that were coming out around the like 2008 2007, I started realizing like, oh, my brother is actually on par with these guys. Like I
Right.
want to do this, I can too. This came from my family tree, this is crazy. So then I kind of just was like, I think I was about 13, and I was like, we should do a song together. And he was like, yeah, all right, like one day. And that feeling made me be like, oh, you think I can't do it? All right. So
Let me show
then
you. Yeah.
got my notebook at CVS and just started going crazy. And eventually, by the time I got to like 14, 15, then I started showing him and his friends like what I was writing. And one time they just called me. This was like a defining moment. They called me and they were like, yo, go ahead, rap. And I just opened the notebook and it was just going. And then it was quiet and they were like, yo, all spits it. And that's kind of like how All Spitt was born. So
Ah, okay.
yeah, man. So we were kind of like Wu-Tang. There was like 15 of us. We had a
Wow.
studio in the back of a homie's shed, and it was just like we built it out ourselves. It was actually really nice for what it was, and a lot of moments there that really created like my skill set. Getting forced in the cipher and being like, nah, you have to. Like I don't care if you're not
Like
good.
being shaped, being
Yeah,
molded into
absolutely.
cause like, you think about 90s West Coast, like, Snoop, he had a certain image that,
Mhm.
maybe that was him, maybe it wasn't, but he stuck with that certain image. And a lot of artists are like that even today. Like they project a certain ego or a certain standard,
Right.
and they want to be seen as that, but it may not actually be them. I mean,
Damn. Right.
I've just come to realize that from working in music, like especially LA, like people will say one thing and they'll do a total
Totally.
flip, total opposite of that. So you start to get like me, I started to get kind of jaded
Right.
about Southern California because I'm like, you know, so many fake people out here and everyone's like trying to take advantage of each other.
That's
And
crazy you say that, man, because anybody that's ever from the East Coast that goes out to the West and then comes back, they're like, "Man, the people are fake out there." Like, I said the same thing because there is this level of, like, Hollywood's out there, so then you
oh
start to
man.
see the whole, like, mask that people put on, and it's strange. It really is. It's a wild, weird land over there, but, salute to, like, the real ones that are out there because there's definitely real ones everywhere you go, and I've met a
For
few of
sure.
them. I met a few of them,
For
so
sure.
but yeah, I agree with you that it's a game full of it's a game literally like people put on this facade in order to gain dollars and that's like a lot of these corporations, man. They want to continue to let their profit rise while we kind of sit there and don't really know anything.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like in LA, probably one of the most real music producers or like recording engineers I know. This dude, Choco
Mhm.
Beats. He's
Yeah.
based in downtown LA, and he's totally self-made. You know, he had a studio. The building got sold. He had to move his studio home for like a couple years, and then now he has a new spot in downtown, and everything's just kind of working out for him. So you know,
Right.
really, really respect the hustle and the grind that some people put into this industry because
Right.
it's not nothing.
Salute to him, and salute to like and respect to all hustlers, because I think that that's like the foundation of why we do what we do, right? Because the grinding and making sure that like that there's a level of survival that's in instinct that's in that. And I just that's how I came up to, just like you do what you have to do and you figure it out. And those principles keep me going 15 years later in a oversaturated market, you know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
know.
I know the 90s and 2000s were really big for the independent game. You had like Master P, E40, and
Right.
like just a lot of people who made millions and millions off of doing the independent route. Like, do you feel like you can still make as much money independently as those times, or is it a little drier?
I think it's more of a luxury today to do that, right? Like Master P is a big influence on me. I'd get the CDs or I'd get the merchandise out the trunk and I'd sell that, and get like my little dollars from that. But I think that today in this climate, it's very much so a level playing field due to the technology that's out today. So, if you
Yeah.
understand what's happening with like market, like we are talking about the marketing branding thing, like I really started leaning into that as more of like a piece of me as a profession. So that way I can leverage that. And I'm grateful that I even have the opportunity to do that. You can be the label in the studio and all that in your house, in your little office space. So
That's
yeah.
right.
So, like being artistic, that's definitely important, but like you mentioned, the business side and marketing is especially important. If you don't know how to market, you're just going to be a guy who has a cool freestyle online.
Right.
You're not going to grab the audience. So like what exactly did you do, or what are some of the principles that you figured out that have really been helping you grow your tribe?
So I personally, I like to do all that. Like I enjoy the freestyling and making sure that like people see that I'm a skilled lyricist. But because like I said, that's the core of me. But I like singing. I like the songwriting aspect of things. Getting into production, you hear so many different flavors that have nothing to do with like what you started doing, that I allowed myself to evolve. And I'll create a song that has no raps on it. Like I enjoy doing that. So I think that's something that is very true to me, where like I'll sit there and I'll hear a beat and I'll
Yeah.
give it whatever it needs. If it just needs singing, I'll do that. If it just needs a hook or a verse at the end that needs some rapping, like I've been leaning more into that. So I have a project that's coming out that's very aligned with mainstream, a little bit more mainstream, and I think that
Okay.
it'll excite more people about what I've usually brought to the table, to kind of show them like, oh, he does it all. And yeah, that's always been my thing. Like if you listen to like later earlier projects of mine, like I always try to hit all those markets. Like here's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then also, curate it in a way to where you don't confuse the audience. I think
Yeah,
that's
I
very
mean, we're definitely similar in that way from an artist perspective. Because with drumming, I moved out to LA at 22 with an indie rock group. It didn't end up, like most bands, it didn't end up working out personally or whatever. But then I became a session musician. Started, doing recording sessions, started playing out at live gigs, and you just you pick up what you pick up from different people as you move through it. But like you have to be, you really have to like ground yourself and be real, because it's so easy, especially like in LA, it's so easy to get lost in like the promises that people might say to you, or
yeah,
someone might be like building you up only to be laughing, behind your back in the same day.
yeah,
So it's like when you see that kind of fakeness, it, like you're saying, it does make you appreciate places like Connecticut, like New York, tri-state. Like there is a certain vibe over here that is not quite there. I mean, not to put down Southern California, but I didn't have the best experience when I was out there.
right. And, it's crazy. I was just gonna say our experiences tend to shape us. So like our um I wouldn't say conditioning, but the way that we think about certain situations or people or whatever, it does directly reflect what we've experienced. So because of that, I can agree with you. There's a lot of different things that are people that don't necessarily have authenticity to them, and they'll say one thing and do another, and that definitely
Yeah.
got a lot of that on the East Coast as well. Like a lot of,
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere.
yeah, it's everywhere. So
Yeah,
then you start,
unfortunately.
right. So then you start to kind of like, who's worth your energy and your time because you've been through it. And I think that that's the most special lesson out of like these types of things. It's like,
Ah,
okay, I will not,
yeah.
I ain't gonna fall for this again. Like,
I'm not gonna do that like, or, it's kinda like, "Oh, I've met this person before."
right. The
Like,
same person with a different hat on, like,
yeah, and, like, this one guy, I mean, I would even call him a best friend at one point. This dude I
yeah,
met in LA, he grew up in LA, and he was just so fake, like, to the extent that you'd bring him around people, and they'd be like, "Yeah, you know what? Don't bring that next time you're here,
don't bring him. Yeah, we
don't
all
bring
go
that
through
dude with
that. Like, yo, that dude you were with, you're cool, but that dude, don't bring
that
him.
dude, yeah, don't
Yeah,
bring him."
yeah.
So, like, I've experienced that where people, like, it's like a facade, like, they show you one thing, but then you walk out the door and then they're, like, flip 180 reversal of that.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I really appreciate realness from dealing with so much, like, flakiness, I guess.
Right. Absolutely, man. I've even let people into my own home, especially as a teenager. You let all your friends in your house. You think that they're your friends, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
stuff go missing, and you're like, "Hold up," and it really changes like what even your attitude towards people. So I had to kind of go through a little bit of the fire to figure out like if I even enjoy people, which I do now. I had to give them less of the like benefit of the doubt thing, and it's more like I gotta understand somebody and feel their energy out before like you don't really set boundaries as a kid. You're just kind of like, come into my space and my
Yeah, yeah,
energy.
come hang
Yeah,
out, but, like,
right.
are they really like, some people I grew up with, same kinda thing, like, they'll be one way with you, and then they're with other people, and then they're talking about you,
Yeah,
behind your back and all that, and
yeah,
it hurts, I mean,
right.
but I think for me, I just accepted my friends were my friends when I was growing up, the people that lived around me, basically, people from, my street, and I don't know. It's just kind of like that used to be how it was, at least. Like you just take people as they are. Like
Yeah,
maybe they're not perfect. Maybe they could be nicer. Maybe they could be more of a gentleman, kinder. But like the fact is, they are who they are,
yeah,
and you're still friends with them. So, you know, there's like a duality to that. Like,
Absolutely. And it goes back to the whole like living by default and by design, because we're defaulted around certain people. So you just kind of, they take me as I am, I take them as they are, and
that's right.
that's that. But as you kind of evolve your own self, you realize like, oh, okay, I can be around this person, and I might have to set different boundaries because I know for a fact that they have these traits that may not, pour into me as I would appreciate or whatever. But yeah, it is that duality of like, I don't have to shun people. I could
Yeah.
simply just, accept them for how they are, and send that blessing over to them, give them that salute, and then stay in my corner where I know
Stay
that
in
the
your
positive growth mindset's happening.
Yeah, yeah, stay in your own lane, like, when it comes to what you're really trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Not everyone's gonna align with the vision, and that's one
No.
thing that was hard for me growing up, because I wanted those that like I cared about to be down with the vision and see it, and sometimes that made people shy away from me because there was an intensity behind. Like, I would even pick up a book, start reading it, and be like, who everybody needs to read this. Like, this is crazy. And like, no, not all the homies don't want to read that. Like,
No, no.
I gotta accept where I'm at and what I do, and I'm okay with it now.
No, I mean that is interesting point. Is like a lot of times the people closest to you, they're not necessarily going to be the ones that support you. It's the people that you don't know are the ones a lot of times who are really going to dive into whatever you're doing. While the people that's your friends or even family, it's like they're almost apathetic about what you're doing, and you
Right.
just have to get over it. You can't expect everybody to like
Yeah,
what you're doing.
Yeah, I like how you
yeah.
said you got to get over it, because and I really am blessed to have really kind-hearted, like empathetic family members. You know what I mean? Like my father, very great soul. My mother, rest her soul, she always supported me, and my brother as well. My sister. Like, these are just people that, just my immediate family really was always like, chase your dreams, like go after it. I'm doing the
Oh,
same,
wow.
and we could figure this out, even if we couldn't do it together all the way, because like it was different things, or everybody has to go through their own trials and tribulations or whatever the case is. But
Right.
it really set the groundwork for me to be like, all right, regardless of if this person hits it big, or this person does, or whatever, like we have enough love in us to at least, you know here, this for you, like, I love you, I'll see you around the holidays, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, even if we can't all congregate the way that we used to when we were kind of forced together. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like you don't want to be kind of like the rap version of Primerica. Like every family member around you, you're making a pitch. Like, yo, man, check my CD out, man. You like this?
Check this
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Right. Like, oh, you like my stuff? Well, you definitely gonna like, yeah, that. I will say though, my brother is one of my collaborators that I do work with a lot musically, because not only do him and I match mindset wise, but his talent's immense. So him and I, it almost sound like one person on the song, and I
Wow.
appreciate that. Yeah.
No, the ability to have someone to collaborate with, that has to be amazing. Like somebody who's doing what you're doing is in your family, and they've probably been in some situations where you want to go, so they can give you a little bit of a game plan as well.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
support.
We're definitely at this place in life where like he does certain things, and then I'm like, that's inspirational, and then I'll start doing things, and he's like, yo, all right, I'll see you, man. Like, let's, we swap a lot of information. Like that ego death has definitely, like, over time has been able for us to like swap a lot of things and get us in a
Wow.
place where, like, yeah, that's just, it's special, man. So I definitely recognize that. So yeah.
That's awesome.
I know a lot of times, like rappers, they could get this, I guess this image of being cocky and arrogant. So, like, how did you manage to stay humble despite the paradigm of rap? Like, you have to say, oh, I'm the best, I'm number one, so on and so forth.
Yeah, sometimes I couldn't beat it, man. Like, that's one of the things that I feel like is important to my journey, is like, I think there's a level of, you gotta think, at least even in a delusional way, that you're really good at this. Like, you're nice, you're better than others, even if there's a level of it that's not. My golden rule is that I know somebody's out there that may be better than me. So therefore I work harder,
Let
and
me
I'm gonna
keep
make sure,
working.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm gonna
Yeah.
make sure that I'm,
100%.
yeah, and that's the dangerous person. So I think one thing
Yes.
that that's there, but that what keeps me like in my humble space is just knowing that my gifts are my gifts, your gifts are your
Yeah.
gifts, and the things that resonate with me and will take me to my heights won't stop that person from getting there. You know, it's just I have my lane, you have yours. We can, and especially when you get into the business side of things, you realize like where these are business collaborations. This isn't hip hop and let me not, you know, rock with this person because I think I'm better. It's like all that kind of starts to fade once you realize like there's a
Fades
business
away.
behind it. Yeah. So, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's more about like brand matching and whatnot.
Branding. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So I know like a lot of times you can feel like, okay, I'm talented and everything, but when did you really start feeling like I'm good enough to make it? Like I have enough talent that I want to make this into a career and I can do it.
I was 17. That's really a defining moment for me. I knew that like I was rocking with people that were 25 rapping. Like, you
Oh
know,
wow.
I was on tracks with them and my end rhymes were on par with theirs and my content and all of that. So that's when I was avidly like reaching out to labels and trying to get them to see my talent. And those were some of my favorite times because there was like a purity in the way that I was writing because it was just simply for the love of the art, you know. And I started making music. Actually, I started writing when I was 8 years old. I was in class with my
Wow.
friends, you know, older brothers. So you see him rapping with his friends. So I'm in class, like, let's battle rap, guys. And I'm, you know, and just writing in notebooks when I'm supposed to be like, you know, probably learn how to write better. But
Yeah, right.
and you know, as I kind of let go of that for a little bit, I wanted to be a football star. Actually, I was like running back on the, you know, Mighty Mites and all that. And then as time went on, I got into high school and I started getting into a little more delinquent activities freshman year, and I was like, you know, I'm about to just do this music, man. And that's when I like those from 15 to 17, I was like honing those skill sets with the people that were way better than me at it. And then by the time I got to 17, I really
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, I see what you guys
See,
are doing.
that's the thing a lot of people don't understand. They feel like, "Oh, I'm the best, you know, I'm gonna make sure I'm the best out of all the people I'm around." But it's like, no,
Yeah,
you want it to be the opposite. You wanna be the dumbest guy in the room. You wanna
right.
surround yourself with brilliant, talented people because that's how we grow. Like,
Mhm.
especially, like, on drums, when I was growing up, I mean, I was just blessed with talent, you know, it came really fast. Pretty much I started at 14. By the time I was 16, playing in like 4 or 5 bands all at once.
Wow, that's
Heavy
awesome.
demand from me, you know, and but that gave me the confidence to keep going and just feel like, okay, so who's better than me? Oh, okay, this guy over here is better than me. What does he do that's better? And then you try to work it out for yourself, like, okay, in my lane, what does that look like?
Right.
And then I will go kind of do that thing, recreate that thing
Hmm.
to feel some kind of like semblance of, okay, now I'm just as good as that guy now because now I'm doing X, Y, and Z.
Absolutely. That's like the learning by emulation first and then realizing that, oh, I can do this. And then
Yeah,
that helps you take it to that level. Absolutely. That's cool though that you 5 bands at once, man. I was just thinking
yeah.
today while I was driving, I was listening to Nirvana. I was listening to Come As You Are, and I was like, you know, I'm pretty nice at drums as far as like playing on MPC and stuff like that. But when I'm like, yo, how do you get the kick on the foot to like,
Right.
you know,
How do you get the leg to go when the hand's doing this and the other hand's doing
that
that?
I have a utmost respect for most instrumentalists, man. Like, you know, even when I play piano, like it's
Coordination.
yeah, that
Yeah.
coordination is like,
Coordination is huge.
mhm, for sure. Salute to you, man, because
Oh, thank you.
that's really like
Now, like I
that's
said, though, I'm blessed with the ability to play. I feel like, you know, I'm like reincarnated version of like some jazz player. Like I
right,
just somehow I have these really deep roots in music. And I mean, I just say it's a blessing.
right. I was just talking to my business partner about that too. Like, you know, there's things that you feel like, you know, especially when you're listening to music and one of your favorite musician goes or something like that, and you're like, there's something about that spirit that like I can feel in some sort of way in the energy, and I want to embody that, and it just kind of adds to your, you know, you think that like the blessing that you've got from doing the drumming is like sometimes people think that you just get to or whatever you do, but people think that they get to a plateau But when you realize there's so much inspiration that just comes and just you
Oh
can
yeah.
take it wherever you would like to take it. It's special when you can like see that you have the talent and then you're willing to, you know, go to the next level with it, or at least tell yourself there is a next level and
Well, that's
listening
the
to people's work.
yeah, that's the thing because I mean, you could be really talented, but we're not factoring in here the elbow grease. We're
Yeah,
not factoring in that like that willpower, that go get it mentality. I'm gonna
mhm,
do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this better than this guy, better than that girl. Like
right.
I feel like hustle can be emulated to some extent, but it can't really be taught. I feel
It's got
like
to be in you, not on you, man.
it's
You know, that's what the OGs
yeah.
always told me. It's got to be in you, not on you.
Yeah, so it's like either to me, it's like either you have that quality or you don't have that quality. If you don't have that quality, that's okay. But just realize, okay, you're never gonna be that guy that's like popping out 150 emails in one day or like
Yeah,
adding 150 people on LinkedIn,
right.
in a day. Like that, you can't really build that. Like that's just in you, I feel.
Absolutely. And you know, one of my mentors, Floria Treaties, she talks a lot about nurture versus nature. So like, you know, we have things that we innately do and can do. And it just, I think they're more like interests to us that we just gravitate towards. And then there are pieces of us that we might lack on, and you can always nurture those. Absolutely. And get yourself into a place where you can be on par with somebody who has that naturally, but you got to put that work in and you got to really want it,
Yeah,
you know?
there's no shortcuts,
Yeah,
basically.
no
Like
shortcuts.
you still gotta do the hard work. Like with me and Kev and this podcast, like we've been going hard with this for a while now, like 2+ years, doing 2 or 3 episodes a week without
Whew,
fail. We never cancel on people.
love that.
And so yeah, like we're talking about hustle. Like me and Kev have that, and it's a great business partnership because I focus on certain things. Kev's focuses on other things, and we kind of just meet in the middle of it all. So
Right.
it's an awesome thing for
Yeah,
sure.
that's an important synergy to have, man. And salute to you guys because you've done a lot of growth. I see it. You know, I watch a lot of the
Thank you.
interviews. So yeah, they're very
Thank
it's
you.
very awesome. You guys have that good chemistry too.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. It's awesome that you've been checking out a few of the episodes, but
Oh
like
yeah,
you
for sure.
mentioned, you can't really teach some of this stuff. Some people just want it, some people don't, and even with talent, some people just have something, and other people like me, I don't have any musical talent. So it's like, do I waste my time really trying to dive into that, or do I focus on where I'm actually gifted at? I think that's a choice we have to make. Like, you have to look within, find that gift, and cultivate it versus trying to mold yourself into something that, I mean, you can, but yeah, I feel your time is better spent just really cultivating that God given gift.
Right, right. Yo, to go back to my mentor, she talks a lot about like, so I'm really well versed in like NTBI, the Myers-Briggs type indicator, to kind of understand people's personality types. And you start to realize like there are things that you innately do. You could always build those things, but like I forget what book what the author is, but the book's called Do What You Are, right? Like an
Yeah,
extrovert being a librarian, probably not going to be the job for
Right.
them. They could do it, you know, if they learn how
they
to.
could do it, I
They're
guess.
probably gonna want, you know, what are you reading? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we probably don't want that in there, but yeah. So I love that you brought that up because ultimately, you know what you're great at, and of course, you could take time at whatever. You know, we are amazing. You know, we have music. This brain, the things that we have as capabilities, they're endless. So if you want to do that, absolutely. But it's like, why stress myself out doing trying to, you know, learn a whole new craft when like I'm really good at this. So
It's funny you say that because I'm thinking about I bought a keyboard a couple years ago. I'm like, I'm gonna learn jazz chords and I'm gonna learn all this. And then I go about trying to learn it, and then I'm sitting there like, why am I wasting my time with this? I could just sit down at a drum set and do X, Y, and Z already. Why
yeah,
am I trying to like, get all this coordination with the right and the left hand? And
you're right.
I don't, yeah, like you're saying, sometimes you just have to look internally and be real with yourself and say, okay, listen, buddy, this one thing you're trying to do over here, forget about that. This other thing over here, that's where your talent is. That's where your talent lies. 100% go in that direction. I
Right.
think
You
more
know,
people need to identify that for people, because we don't always see it. Sometimes, like, we're too close to ourselves to actually see
mm, I love that you said that. Sometimes we're too close to ourselves to actually see it. I'll write that one down, brother. Thank you.
it.
That's crazy that, while we're on this topic. So growing up, I did the whole battle rapping thing. And then, as time went on, once I got to be like 19, 20, I wanted to sell songs and I couldn't just go online, keep buying beats and, the sample clearance and all that. So I was like, all right, let me take the production into my own hands. And then, didn't want to pay for studio time anymore. So I'm like, all right, let me learn this myself until I get,
Yeah.
to the point where it could be right. Then I started realizing, like, okay, there's a business side to this. How do I understand this? And I completely, like, my drive was like, I'll do anything. I will figure this out. I don't care what I have to do or what I have to learn, but I know that I have the mind for it because I'll make myself have the mind for it. So, I've jumped into like Forex trading, like all these different things that tried to either put money in my pocket or like, this is why I'm leaning heavy into being a marketing specialist lately, because I know through my endeavors and the things that have really, like, I guess you could look at as failures, but they're really like directional arrows, but they help me to see, oh, okay, like I can now take a brand from this to this, and it doesn't even have to be mine. Like it could, I wanted
Yeah.
to learn the social media game and learn, I tried it all, tried to do the repost, the follow, all that, like, and then you start getting into like, all right, what are actual, CPCs and CPAs, and figuring out like what the percentages are, so that way you can actually get to that goal that you want to get to. And actually recently, yesterday actually, I've been named the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer for Vori Consulting, and
Oh, wow.
it's like
Nice.
something that's very, like, it's dear to me to be able to exercise all these different pieces of me and kind of see them coming together.
No, yeah, that's amazing that you've kind of discovered that skill set that you really enjoy. I feel like whatever it is that you'll do for free, or you're willing to invest money into doing it, that's really what's for you. Like, for me, I got a degree in accounting, but after school, 5 minutes in front of an accounting book, I'm falling asleep. Like, I
Right,
hated
right.
it. You
Right.
know,
Out
or
of
like
necessity and survival, man, you made it happen.
or like software, I could just do this all day. Like just sit in front of a computer and start typing. I don't know why I like it. I just like it. And
Yeah.
I've been, if you like some, you're willing to spend those extra hours and become great at it, because I think the one of the keys is when you first start something, you're not getting compensated for it, and you have to spend a lot of time to get good enough to get paid. So
Yeah, a
Yeah.
that's
lot of free
why
work.
you got to do something you like.
Absolutely. I love that you're talking about the typing too, because I just have an affinity for that myself, where like the hands go on the keys and I'm just like thought, and I'm just ready to, whatever way it goes, whether it's like a business plan or a proposal, or if it's like simply writing my thoughts down. Cause I do, especially when it comes down to like my inner peace. Lately, I've been more into like doing journaling, been more into
Okay.
like my meditation. Before I came here, I had to think about like how I was feeling. I was like, all right, let me take a nap real quick, because
Yeah.
I've been at this computer for about 9 hours.
Yeah,
So
when
yeah,
you love something, you'll hustle, you'll put in that work, and sometimes
absolutely.
you do got to take that nap. I always take one around 12.
You know what I mean? So like you got to schedule in that self-care, man.
So, like, I mean, you've accomplished a lot already, man. But what does the next level look like to you? Like, when will you say, okay, I've kind of hit the next rung on the ladder?
So the next level for me is taking my own brand to the next level, which is I have a project that's coming, putting the narrative out behind that, who I really am a little bit more, because I feel like
Right.
for a lot of my music I put out, it's just been, I've always like, oh, let the music talk, you know what I mean? But you can amass thousands of streams and all that, but like, are you building super fans, like people that want to like really follow your journey, And I feel like there's people around me that are like, why don't you do that or show people this or whatever? And
Right.
I think that's one for music. That's the next level for me. But as far as like as an entrepreneur, I have my hands in a little bit more in more pots than I did prior to just starting music. So my next level definitely looks like taking certain businesses to multi-million-dollar levels, and being able to because I just love doing that to do it. Like my heart's in that. I don't really care for like always having kickback from whoever, can give that. It's just more about other humans, seeing them do well for themselves. And that's why I put that into my music now too. So that's the next level for me, is just continue to do my like philanthropy work, continue to keep my spirit in high vibration while I'm scaling things, and give myself that balance in between, and then, grow everything, let it expand, man.
Yeah. I mean, let me ask you this just for our listeners. If someone is just trying to get into music right now, they're just starting out, maybe they're like 14, 15 years old, they know a little bit of this, they know a little bit of that.
Mhm.
Marketing wise, what would be your advice to that person who is new to the industry? Like, what are some things, some like signposts they should watch out for?
Yeah.
And just like what are some areas they should really focus on before they get too deep into things?
They're gonna hate me because I hated hearing this, but you have to learn the business, and it's because you need to understand. First, study labels, study the record companies, because they have a system. Once you understand that system, then you realize there's a way for you to duplicate it, and it's not always correlated directly to what you believe the music is, because you will listen to music in your area, you will think that that's what's popping, so that's what's going to make me rich, and it's like literally has nothing to do with that. I really thought it did for
Yeah.
so long, but it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with learning the system and letting it, like, kind of pimping it in your benefit in a way to where you're like, okay, this is what I know works. And what didn't work for me a lot is, don't just put out the music, right? Like, a lot of times I hear this contradiction of like, put the music out, put it out. Absolutely. Make sure you put it out, but have a plan. That's all. Have a
Yeah.
plan. And if you don't have a plan, go try to find somebody that has a plan. And usually
Yeah.
usually the thing that you feel like is hidden is right in front of your face. So I would say pick up those books that talk about the music business, but then also listen to the artists like Russ, artists like Nipsey Hussle, artists like Jay-Z. Talked a little bit in public about his things, but Russ and Nipsey, I feel like, really spoke outwardly. Oh, and La Russell talks very much outwardly
Mhm.
about his journey and what he did. He wanted to cut costs, so he was like, I'm not going to tour. I'm going to do it in my backyard, and then I'm going to figure out how to get people here. So getting people to you is more important than, trying to go to people. That's what
To
I'll
them.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
No, I think one of the biggest lies that I've ever heard was building and they will come. I mean, maybe that's like some drugs or something.
You know,
But
built, and you're like,
Wait a second.
I'm by myself here.
yeah, if you don't market it, it's just gonna sit there and nobody's coming. So
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about marketing, I definitely look up to people like Steve Jobs.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
took some idea that he had and basically said, "Okay, go make it."
Right.
He'd hire, experts in all different fields, and he would have that great vision of, "Okay, this is it. You guys go make it." And then he'd
Right.
get it, and then he'd, kind of like in the early days, him and Steve Wozniak, like,
That's you have
Woz would build the computers and all that, and he'd do the programming. And Steve Jobs is like, okay, how do we get this in front of people? He was the marketing guy. So,
Yeah, you guys are blowing my mind today. I'm just letting you know, because like the things that I talk about with my business partner, like we're always back and forth, like, we're Jobs and Wozniak, like, because it's really like that when you find somebody that you have that synergy with, where they're like, you're this, and then I'm operations, and we do this like this. And it's like you do need that, like
you
people
do.
think when you see a Steve Jobs, like he was this face of the company, when in reality there were so many hands behind that to make it happen. And so
Oh man.
you
Yeah.
have you have to find it.
Hundreds, if not thousands of people behind that.
Right. Find your people. That's important. That's another thing I'll say. Find your people and find the ones that can add value to you in
Yes.
areas that you might not have expertise in. And put your ego down. Be able to learn something. I'm learning every day. I learn from my little nephew, just like
Yeah.
the switching my attitude quick and things of that nature. Like, there's just so much that we can get off of we can learn from anything. So be able to learn from any of those around you and let that add to you. And if you don't know something, go find that person that does, and let them work their magic in your life, man, and your
Yeah,
business.
for me, I teach drums, so what I always kind of try to remind myself is that, look, yes, maybe they're the student, but me personally as a teacher, I'm also the student,
Hmm.
because you never know when your student's going to show you something and be like, oh, wow, like I never thought of it that way, or I never thought to try it that way. Like
Yeah.
I got this one kid, he's amazing. He's like just natural talent, 11 years old. He can
Right.
play whatever I throw at him. Um, and it's just like, it's very inspiring to see someone like that go from 0 to 100
Right.
just because, okay, you're showing up, you're showing him X, Y, and Z, but he's really taking it to that next level. And I remember I was showing him one song one day, and I'm like, oh no, it goes like this. He's like, no, 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 it goes like this. I'm like, are you sure about that? He's like, yeah, check the video. So we pull up the YouTube, and he was right. So I was like, okay, my bad. Like
Yeah.
I learned a lesson today, you know?
That's awesome, man. You guys are blowing my mind today because it's just all these topics that like relate to me. There's this book that one of the spiritual masters that I studied, Grandmaster Choco Soy, and he talks about the teacher's a perpetual student, you know, so that was the prime example of that right there.
Yeah.
That's
And I
awesome.
think you know, you kind of spoke of like building the machine to really propel your success. You have to staff your company or you know your organization with people who excel where you don't. It's like just like a car. You can't have a car with 2 engines and no brakes. So you need like
Right.
complementary parts, you know.
That's a good visual, Kev.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah,
That's
that ain't
a
stopping
great
on the
visual.
highway right there. It's the DeLorean right there. Back to the future.
So like how have you been able to kind of assemble your team? And like is there anything you look for? It just kind of happened or did it happen like organically?
Man, I gotta give it up to God's source, you know, that feeling, because you try over time, you know, you bring people in, you think that they're, you know, the missing piece, and it just alignment happens where things fall away and you're like, why is it this not, why is it not this, why is it not that? So I would say in the past like 4 years of me caring about my spirit, protecting my energy differently, you know, upgrading who I am as a person that can show up as a more respectable individual, really helped for those people that I needed to. They just showed up, you know. And sometimes you don't, sometimes it's somebody you had in your corner that you didn't really think about. And you know, a lot of times it was just the way that my team has been curated is just, I have like-minded individuals that are around me that I can look for the signs now. You know, I know enough. I had enough ignorant moments in my life to where I know what to look for, and I know who's like a really good spirit inside. Because I won't do business with people that, you know, don't have like some sort of level of emotional intelligence and care about others that's deeper than like trying to one up the next person or whatever. You know, because it's a team at the end of the day. You know, I'm happy to put on different hats, and you know, I'll support somebody else's dream as they're supporting mine, and vice versa. Like, you know, I think that's something that's important for me. If somebody's willing to do that, then I know that they're supposed to be part of my team. So
100%. Yeah, that's really important.
So man, before we get out of here, because we're getting to the top of the hour, did you want to leave our audience with any closing thoughts and where can they find you at?
yeah, so my closing thought is continue to grow and let that be your blueprint for your life, because there's going to be a lot of different a lot of different voices in your ear telling you where to go, what to say, what to do, what to eat, what to feel like, what to follow. And, you know, you have to be able to have a level of spiritual discernment so that way you can build a blueprint that's authentic to you. And if you're looking for any of my music, you can go to www.allspiddit.net, AUSPIDDIT.net. You can follow me at All Spitt on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and there's going to be a couple months of a real run coming. So, you know, gear up, everybody.
No,
Awesome.
absolutely amazing having you on the show, man. We have to have you back sometime. There's a million other things we can still talk about.
Absolutely, I'll be happy whenever you guys have me
We're
back. I'll be
just
ready.
getting going. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
getting going. And now it's like, oh, I look at the clock.
Right.
Hour flew by.
Hour flew by. Thank you again. Seriously, fellas. I appreciate you. And, you know, at some point we'll definitely link up in person, man. Like-minded individuals need to get together. So
100%.
Absolutely. And we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.